Good morning, students. How are you this morning? Thank God for a new day. Today, our topic is financial institutions. Lesson objectives. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to 1. Explain financial institutions and their types. 2. Discuss commercial banks and their functions. 3. Discuss central banks and their functions. 4. Discuss other financial intermediaries and their functions. Financial institutions. What are financial institutions? Financial institutions, otherwise called financial intermediaries, are those institutions that mobilize money from surplus spending units, who are called savers, and lend to the deficit spending units, the users of the money. Financial institutions are business organizations established to accept deposits from various customers and lend it in form of loans to the willing investors for the purpose of economic growth and development. I hope this one is explanatory. What financial institutions do is to gather money from surplus spending units and lend to deficit spending units, the real users, the real investors of the money. Now we have types of financial institutions. Financial institutions may be divided into 2 broad groups. We have banking and non-banking financial institutions. The difference: banking financial institutions accept deposits from the 3 agents of the economy, firms, government, and households, and make it available for the purpose of investment as loanable funds. So take note that financial institutions accept deposits from both households, firms, and government, and make them available to investors. Now, these are financial institutions we have. We have central bank, commercial banks, merchant banks, development banks, microfinance banks, community banks, specialized banks. Sometimes education bank can come under specialized banks. Now, these are the non-financial institutions. They include insurance companies, primary mortgage institutions, or what we call the building societies, finance houses, stockbroking firms, discount houses, bureau de change, pension fund administrators, and finally issuing houses. The striking feature of non-banking institutions that distinguish them from banking institutions are that the former is involved in the active mobilization of savings, while the latter's involvement is passive, meaning that non-bank financial institutions, their major work is not to mobilize savings. They don't accept deposits from their customers, unlike banking financial institutions who accept deposits, who mobilize deposits from their customers and lend to the deficit spending unit, the investors themselves. These non-bank financial institutions, they rarely accept deposits from their customers. For instance, the insurance company insurer is expected to pay a premium as consideration for the discouragement of future calamity. The origin of banks. Banking started long time ago, during the period of the goldsmiths of London. It started with them because they had safes where they were keeping people's valuables. So people, in those days, people could keep their valuables like jewelries with the goldsmiths. The goldsmiths will in turn give them receipts as evidence that they kept their valuables. And these receipts, they will come back at the maturity, at the expiration of the time they agreed, they will come back with the receipt and collect back their whatever they deposited with the goldsmith. But with time, they now discovered that there's a gap between the time they gave the money, the valuable, and the time they really need it back. So what they wanted, they started lending out, using the receipts to buy in exchange for goods and services. That was the origin of lending, bank lending. The initial thing was bank deposit. They were accepting deposit. Those valuables served as deposit. Then the holders of the receipt were not given they use it to buy. whoever holds the receipt till maturity will go back to the goldsmith and collect whatever valuable that was deposited. That was how banking started. Even the goldsmiths themselves discovered that they could even lend out some of those valuables that were deposited with them at money. They lend it out and receive interest. That was how everything metamorphosed to what we have today. Now, traditional financial institutions, they are those which were developed to offer limited financial services to members of the society or group in which they operate. It is a kind of cooperative which consists of people who agree to contribute a certain sum of money each and hand it over to a member of group in turn. Lots are usually drawn to determine a member's turn of receiving his share. Down here, some people call it, they have so many names for this kind of traditional financial institutions. Some call it Isusu, some call it Esusu, as the case may be. But what they do, they operate like cooperative societies. They collect money. Maybe at the beginning of the year, some group of people working in the same place. Because the essence is to help people to save or to have a box sum of money at a particular time with which they could execute projects they never could have done on their own. So at the beginning of the year, some people working in the same place could come together, agree on what each person could be paying at the end of every month. And then they cast lots. They write January to, so most times they end in the month of October. Any month you pick means that at the end of every month, once salary comes, each person will bring his, and they take it in turn. So if it becomes your turn, you collect, others will contribute for you, and you collect your money. It helps people to do those things, carry out those projects, whatever they had wanted to do. Could be somebody that wants to buy electronics, like television. On his own, do your monthly savings. If you do it on your own, some people may not be able to do that. But with this Esusu thing, they can now, once it gets your turn, you get bulk sum of money with which to implement whatever your purpose is. That's traditional financial institutions. It's distinct from the main financial institution. That one has to do with banking. You go to bank. But these ones are people that work in the same place. Advantages of traditional financial institutions. One, it encourages savings. I said it as I was saying. Members, through the pooling of resources together, are encouraged to save. It also renders assistance to members in time of need. You can borrow at little interest rate, unlike what obtains in the banking sector. Also, it promotes investment. Traditional financial institutions may decide to invest in viable businesses that can yield profit to the organization. So some people, they don't even share the money. They contribute their money and invest it. At the end of the year, whatever proceeds they get from it, they share. Easy to access loan. As members can obtain loan from traditional financial institutions without collateral security. But this one is not obtainable in the main banking sector. For you to go to bank and you say you want loan, you must deposit something. They must provide the necessary collateral, or else you must be joking. The disadvantages of traditional financial institutions is that it can lead to loss of capital. How? This can bring about total forfeiture of one's savings. Somebody might be collecting. You contribute and somebody and then if it gets to somebody's turn, if he collects his and when he does not pay for others, the person can disappear into thin air. And those whose money he went with will be in great loss. So it can lead to loss of capital. It can also lead to delay in payment. How? As a result of lack of proper recording, there might be an argument on the sum total of contribution, which may lead to delay in payment. But this one, people will always guard against this. They have proper recording so that nobody cheats anybody. Lastly, they don't have fixed interest rates. Most times, somebody who is in charge of it might, if he's a dubious person, he'll be cheating or shortchanging the others. Those are the disadvantages of traditional financial institutions. Now let's come to financial institutions proper. The first thing we want to look at under financial institutions is commercial bank. What's a commercial bank? Commercial bank is like stockbroker. It's a stock exchange market. A commercial bank is a financial institution usually established as a joint stock company with the aim of making profit. That is the major aim of establishing commercial bank. It's a financial institution that operates like joint stock companies. And the aim of establishing a commercial bank is to maximize profit. It usually grants short-term and medium-term loans to their customers. Commercial banks differ from other banking financial institutions because they honor checks drawn by their customers on their demand deposits. So, unlike some other financial institutions, commercial banks will always honor checks drawn on them. Functions of commercial banks. Commercial banks perform a lot of functions for the banking public. One is acceptance of deposit, or what we call mobilization of deposit. They mobilize deposit from their customers. When they mobilize this deposit, what do? They go into lending. The next function is that they lend this money out to the investing public, who invest and pay them interest rates. Commercial banks also provide facilities for domestic and foreign remittances. If you want to engage in international trade, you approach your commercial bank for assistance. They will know how to help you out. Commercial banks provide facilities for the safekeeping of valuables. People keep their valuables in commercial banks for safety, for safekeeping. I know of some people who keep their jewelry, certificates, even some keep their landed their paper to their land in commercial banks for safety. Also, commercial banks offer advisory services to customers. Yes, in case you want to engage in any business that you're not too sure of, you can approach your commercial bank to give you professional advice on the viability or otherwise of the business you want to go into. Otherwise, you plunge yourself into calamity. So these are some of the things they do. They also offer trust services for individuals and organizations. Trust services include the management of trust funds. So if you have trust fund, your commercial bank can help you do that. Agency services. The banks act as agents for their customers in the purchase and sale of securities. Yes, if you want to go into security, as something like shares, you can approach your bank to help you out. Also, money creating function. Deposit received can be given out as credit to customers, which in turn create further. Yes, commercial banks engage in money creation. It's a cumbersome thing. They borrow money, they mobilize credit, they lend it out, they continue lending and lending and lending. So that's how they create money. Commercial banks create money. Commercial banks can even keep people's titles, or something like somebody has written his will. You can keep it in the commercial bank because they act as trust, so that on the death of the person who has prepared the will, they can come and execute whatever you have asked them to do. Those are some of the functions commercial banks perform. Now, coming to commercial banks, people keep their accounts with commercial banks. And so what types of account do we have? We have basically three types of account in commercial banks. The first one is what we call current account. We have savings account. We have fixed deposit account. What is current account? Current account is the type of account that is being operated by mostly rich people. Even so, these days, some civil servants open current account. The formerly was exclusively for rich people. It's being operated using checkbook. The good thing about it is that you can always ask somebody to pay for you. If you're not disposed to go to the bank, you can give somebody a check to go and cash on your behalf. But the disadvantage there is that they don't pay you. No, they don't pay you interest. Instead, you pay them. Because they have what you call commission on turnover. For every deposit, every operation you make, you pay them some amount of money. Commission on turnover. So, like I said, another name for current account is demand deposit. It means that once you go in, you don't need any protocol to cash your money, except you don't have sufficient money in your account. That's for current account. Another type of account is what we call savings account. This one is mostly for the middle class and the poor. The essence of savings, just as the name sounds, it helps people to save. Your little amount of money, the bank is interested in it because the bank is always mopping up excess money. So excess liquidity, you keep your money, it helps you people to save. And to encourage people to save, they pay you little amount of money, maybe at the end of the month, depending on how frequent you operate your account. And that little amount of money they pay is what we call interest rate. Before now, savings account is being operated using passbook. The difference between savings account and current account is that in passbook, in paying money into the bank, you can add, somebody can do it for you. But for you to withdraw money before the advent of ATM, you have to go to the bank yourself. Nobody does it for you because the savings, the passbook has to be operated by the real owner of the account. But these days, all these problems have been overtaken by events. As ATM, you can stay at home and give your ATM to somebody to go and cash for you. Unfortunately, if he enters into the wrong hand, your own is finished. You're doomed. Finally, the last is time of fixed deposit account. This type of account is operated by individuals and organizations who have excess liquidity. That means they have excess money that they don't need in the nearest future. So they just keep it. The difference between it and savings account is that fixed deposit account gives you a higher deposit. I bet when you want to collect it, you have to give them 7 days notice so that they run around for your money. If you terminate it before the expiration of the time, they'll surcharge you.